Let me ask you about two things. First one is hunting. A lot of people get hate for talking about hunting. Dan Hardy, one of the big UFC fighters, whenever someone like Joe Rogan talks about hunting, it all comes out, it all kicks off. How do you talk about hunting with people that you know that don't feel good about it? What's been your own journey with hunting? Do you think everyone should learn how to hunt? I really want to go hunting. You've offered for me to come out and see you and hunt. What's your read on it?
I eat what I hunt. I hunt to feed my family. I can join a CSA and I can buy a cow, and that's what my wife and I did for a couple of years. Was we would just we'd get a quarter cow or a half cow, because even though I restrict my meat consumption, there is a certain extent to where you activate a protein called mTOR when you eat meat, and it does fly in the face of longevity to overeat meat. But about once every 2 to 3 days or so, I have a good sized portion of meat. I'm not one of those paleo bacon and eggs every day type of guy. For me, I am surrounded by deer and turkey and rabbits and elk and all sorts of creatures that can feed my family. In the same way that my wife is out tending 8 different raised garden beds every day for kale and lettuce and celery and everything else, so that we can grow our own food economically and not need to go to the grocery store, and also have this deep connection with nature and where our sustenance is actually coming from. I have the same relationship with the animals that I hunt, where I honor them. I am not a fan of firearm hunting because I think that unless you're really, really desperate for food, it does put the animal at a bit of a disadvantage. I just don't like that idea of shooting an elk 1,000 yards away through a scope on a mountaintop. I think that's more just killing than it is hunting. But it's how I feed my family. I just 3 weeks ago, made a bunch of breakfast sausages with my boys from a hog that my wife butchered for the pork lard, and a deer that I shot down in Texas. And it's just part of living, part of surviving. And just like, obstacle course racing connects us to nature, and free diving connects us to our vagus nerve and our parasympathetic nervous system, and gardening connects us to the vegetable and plant part of the earth, hunting connects us to an entirely different part of the earth. I honor any animal that if I ever take a life, it's never casual. I had some friends over at my house the other day, and some wild turkeys went across the driveway, and they said, "Get your bow, shoot them." And I said, "No, that's not what I do. If I'm going to shoot something, it's a very religious isn't the right word, but I take my time. I honor anything that I would take the life of, and in the same way that you would pick a plant and say thank you to the earth. If you take an animal's life, you also say thank you to that animal, and thank you to the earth for providing.
I've heard you're honoring that animal when you dress it, and you treat it that way in the field. I hear it feels like
right.
that.
And we could certainly talk about the fact that when you are killing animals, you are indeed, for example, pruning the herd, allowing for ongoing survival, keeping overgrazing from occurring on the land, and just keeping the cycle of life going. There's that component too. But ultimately, that is my take on it. It's primarily to eat and to provide for my family. And what would my ancestors have done if they were in the same position as me, out in the middle of the forest, surrounded by animals, and needing to eat meat? They would have gone out and harvested an animal. So
bow hunting is hard, isn't it?
Bow hunting is
close to an animal.
It's difficult. So I do these competitions that help me to prepare to ethically shoot an animal. It's called Train to Hunt, and you do a 3D shoot on 20 to 40 different targets, where you get a certain point for getting closer and closer to what would be called a vital shot, which would be an ethical shot that would kill a turkey or a deer or an elk or whatever it is that you're hunting. And then after that, you do what's called a meat pack, which is 100 to 150 pounds as fast as you can move it for 2 to 4 miles, which simulates the act of getting an animal out of the mountains after you've gotten your meat. Because you have to, we don't hunt from pickup trucks. We don't hunt over alfalfa and corn on a feed stand like some people do. I mean, you're out there in the wilderness hunting, and you have to get this food back. So that's the second part of it, and the last part of it is an actual obstacle course where you're under barbed wire, hauling sandbags, bouncing over logs, crossing water obstacles, but then you're stopping after each obstacle to shoot under pressure with your heart rate high. So you got to do box breathing and get your heart rate down and activate your parasympathetic nervous system when your fight and flight is through the roof. And these train to hunt competitions are what I do as part of my obstacle racing to actually get me ready for something like an intense hunt.
That's intense. Are you a good hunter? Bow hunter?
I won Idaho.
Okay.
So
So yes.
I want to get better. I'm not as good as I want to be in terms of shooting. Like I'll ethically take a shot on an animal at anywhere from 20 to 40 yards. And there's some people that can shoot at 90 to 100 and have no issues with that. And so,
to watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonreelacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media, log in and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Real, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonreelacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.